They say words can build bridges or burn them down. At one busy airport terminal, a young agent decided to mock a woman for her accent. He thought it was just a joke, but by the end of the day, that joke had cost his airline $950 million. This is the story of arrogance, humiliation, and a lesson that shocked everyone. It was a bright Monday morning at Hamilton International Airport. The summer rush was in full swing, with long queues, tired passengers, and airport staff scrambling to keep up. Behind counter B-17, a young employee named Ethan stood adjusting his tie. He was fresh out of college, confident, and sometimes a little too arrogant. Ethan prided himself on his charm, but behind his smile, there was a streak of pride and prejudice. The line moved slowly, until finally, a tall black woman in her mid-40s stepped forward. She wore an elegant navy blue dress, carried herself with quiet dignity, and had a soft Caribbean accent when she spoke. "Good morning," she said warmly. "I am here with a group booking. I believe the tickets are under New Horizons Travel Group." Ethan glanced up, his smirk already forming. Her accent rolled gently, melodic but slightly heavy, and he immediately chose to mock it. He tilted his head, exaggerated her pronunciation, and said loudly, "Oh, you're here with a group booking?" The passengers behind her chuckled. His colleagues at the next desk looked over, one of them suppressing a laugh. The woman blinked, then smiled politely. "Yes, sir? Could you please assist?" Ethan leaned closer, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Maybe you should learn English first, ma'am. This is America, not wherever you came from." A hush fell over the nearby crowd. A few people shook their heads. One older gentleman muttered under his breath, "That's uncalled for." But Ethan straightened proudly, convinced he had scored points. The woman inhaled deeply, maintaining her calm. She gave him a long look, a look that pierced deeper than anger. And softly she said, "Young man, respect costs you nothing, but disrespect may cost you everything." Without another word, she collected her documents and walked away gracefully. Ethan smirked, shaking his head. "Some people are just too sensitive," he whispered. He had no idea. His world was about to collapse. 2 hours passed. Ethan moved on with his shift, checking in passengers, rolling his eyes when people fumbled with passports, and cracking quiet jokes about accents with a colleague. But then, his supervisor, Mr. Collins, walked briskly toward him, face pale. "Ethan," he said sharply, "I need you in the manager's office." "Now." Ethan frowned. "What's wrong? Did I do something?" "Just come," Collins snapped. They marched through the back corridor of the terminal into a large glass office. Inside sat Mr. Reynolds, the regional manager of the airline, along with 2 sharply dressed executives in suits. And standing beside them was the same black woman Ethan had mocked. His stomach sank. Reynolds's voice was cold. "Ethan, do you know this woman?" Ethan stammered. Yes. She came to the counter earlier." The woman's calm eyes met his. She spoke clearly. "This young man mocked my accent in front of your passengers. He told me to learn English before traveling. I remained silent, because I wanted to see how your airline values respect." Reynolds rubbed his temples. "Ethan, is this true?" Ethan shifted nervously. I was just joking. She misunderstood." The woman raised her hand gently. "Mr. Reynolds, let me introduce myself properly. My name is Dr. Amara Johnson. I am the founder and CEO of New Horizons Travel Group, the second largest travel management company in the world." The room fell silent. She continued. "Each year we book nearly $950 million in flights and services across different airlines. Today we had 3,200 passengers scheduled to fly with your company. But after this experience, I am canceling all of them." Ethan's knees went weak. Reynolds nearly jumped out of his chair. "Dr. Johnson, please. This must be a misunderstanding. Surely we can resolve—" Amara's voice was steady. "For decades, my company has valued professionalism. We believed in loyalty, but loyalty is a two-way street. If your staff can humiliate a customer for the way she speaks, then this is not an airline worthy of our trust." She placed a file on the table. Inside were copies of the contracts, bookings, and pending reservations worth hundreds of millions. "I am transferring all our business," she said firmly, "to your competitor, effective immediately." Reynolds's face turned red. He glared at Ethan, who was now trembling. "You've cost this airline nearly $1 billion, he hissed. Ethan's voice cracked. I didn't know who she was. I didn't mean—" Amara stood tall, looking at him one last time. "You didn't need to know who I was. Respect should not depend on wealth or titles. A janitor, a maid, a child. Every human being deserves dignity. Remember that." With that, she gathered her bag and walked out. The silence in the office was suffocating. Ethan lowered his head into his hands, realizing his arrogance had destroyed everything. News spread like wildfire. Within hours, social media was ablaze. #accent matters, #dignity. First passengers posted about what they had witnessed. The video of Ethan mocking Dr. Johnson's accent, secretly recorded by a passenger, went viral. The airline's stock price began to fall. Competitors released statements about valuing diversity and respect. By the end of the week, the airline's reputation was in tatters. Analysts reported losses exceeding $950 million. And Ethan? He was fired on the spot. His career in aviation ruined. Months later, Dr. Johnson was invited to speak at an international conference about leadership. She told the story, not to humiliate the airline, but to remind people of a truth often forgotten. She stood on stage and said, "Respect is not a luxury. It is the foundation of humanity. You may think mocking someone's accent is small, but behind that accent is a story, a journey, a soul. And one careless word can destroy empires." The audience rose to their feet in applause. Her words echoed across the hall, across headlines and across hearts. The story of Ethan and Dr. Amara Johnson reminds us, never underestimate the power of respect. Never measure people by accents, appearances, or assumptions, because the very person you mock may hold the power to change your entire world.